Hello, and welcome to our show for the love of animals. We have a very special show today. We are going to give you a tour of quilts for pet lovers. We are now at the National Quilt Museum here in Paducah, Kentucky, and this is part 3 of a series. I'm Darleen Pigford.
And I'm Greg Baur, and I want to tell our viewers about a couple of upcoming shows. We want to do one on cats that have special needs, and also to depart a little bit from cats and dogs and do one on eagles. They're very much a part of Western Kentucky here. And as Darleen mentioned, this is the third part. Parts 1 and 2, of course, can be seen up on the web at www.paducah2.org/video clips/animals. And so if you like this part, and we know that you will, you might want to go back and see parts 1 and 2 if you haven't done that already. And another special part of our show that we, of course, you viewers that see us regularly, is a Forget-Me-Not. And we have a very special one today about an animal named Bogie, and we would like to dedicate this show to Bogie. So it's a very special day for Bogie, and also for us to visit the Quilt Museum.
Yes, it is, Greg. And we're going to be doing it a little bit differently, aren't we?
Well, yes, and we're going to move through the show with Judy Schwender, who you'll meet in just a few minutes, and Darleen and I will take turns letting Judy talk about the quilts and talk about some of the interesting things that we also see with it. And so I think that at that point, let's go start this tour from now and see what happens.
I'll take part 1. Here we go. And now we're ready to start our tour with the lady who knows all about the quilts, Judy Schwender. Judy?
Hello, hello.
Judy, what is your title here at the National Quilt Museum?
I'm the Curator of Collections and Registrar.
All right, and what does that mean? What do you do?
Well, if you're curate, you care for something. So
Gotcha.
I care for the quilts, not only our own collection, but the quilts that we borrow for exhibits. And the registrar basically keeps all the paperwork straight. I have to know where all the quilts are and have all the proper paperwork in place for loans and so forth.
Gotcha. Judy, start us off with this buffalo or bison quilt. What do we have here?
Oh, this is a wonderful quilt. This is called Buffalo Magic.
It is.
It's by a lady from Vermont named Barbara Patenga Moore. And one of the nice things about this quilt is that in the quilting, I mean, you have these wonderful bison. And even though buffalo, we had this little discussion about whether it's buffalo or bison. And technically, the American buffalo is a bison.
Bison, okay.
But I think, you know, I've lived out west for a long time. They're buffalo to me.
Okay.
So, but they're made out of ultra suede.
Oh,
you
really?
know, a synthetic suede. And that on top of the cotton gives it a real nice texture, a real soft texture.
Yeah, I want to touch it, but I know I'm not supposed to.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm
very
not.
true.
Right, I'm
You
not
can't touch
touching, but
them.
oh, it just invites you to touch. Has a lovely texture.
It does. And Barbara has really depicted the bison in so many different ways, very much like you would see on a Native American pictograph.
Yes.
And you know, if you think about it, how many animals do we, if you will, consume today that also provide us with, you know, clothing and shelter?
True.
It just doesn't happen today. And of course, the buffalo is so important to the Indians.
I love the one the bison that were on. This one that had such a lovely design here.
Oh yes, like Barbara took that from Native American pottery and other craft designs. So she's really done a lot of research and used those motifs for, you know, this quilt. And also in the quilting itself, the little stitches that hold the quilt together, you see all kinds of little, well, let's see, this is a little lizard. And then you have, this is a deer.
How interesting.
There's a dragonfly over here. And a turtle down here. And of course, that's very important in Native American imagery. There's snakes. There's, I know there's a horse somewhere. Oh, there's horse heads on this one. And of course, horses are not native to the Americas, but they certainly became important to the Indian.
Is there a reason she chose the buffalo? I mean, she must be obviously a nature lover and a wildlife lover.
She is a nature lover, and she has a degree not only in art, but in botany.
Oh.
And so she's always been very interested in nature. And, the Native American culture also interests her a lot. So I think this is really one way where one person has put all her talents and all her interests in one
beautiful expression of art.
It is.
It is fantastic. Well, why don't we move on to our second quilt now?
All righty.
And now we're going to continue with another quilt with Judy, our expert. Judy, this is a lovely quilt about ducks.
Ducks. Yes, we have ducks. So if you are the kind of person that likes going out and sitting in a duck blind on a cold October morning, I suggest you should come here.
We've got a better alternative.
Yeah, we have a better alternative. Come to see the quilt. And this is by some ladies from Simpsonia, Kentucky, Wilma and Carolyn Johnson.
Oh.
And they are sisters-in-law.
Uh-huh.
And that's, to me, is fabulous.
Fantastic.
And they've depicted, 15 different kinds of ducks. And we have everything from a ruddy duck and a pintail and a masked duck and a mallard, and it goes on and on. So more ducks than you can shake a stick at. And one of the neat things about this quilt is not only are the ducks depicted really well, but the quilting design in the sashing is of water. It's a water design.
How neat.
So, obviously ducks are on the water. And I know for a fact that Bill Schrader, who is one of the founders of the museum, he and his wife Meredith got interested in quilting because they just happened to go to a quilt show way back when, and there was a duck quilt. And Bill said, it was a eureka moment. He goes, I know what we're going to do. We're going to get into quilting.
Fantastic.
And so, and to be honest with you, I can't tell you if this is that quilt. But for all intent and purposes, to me, it is. This is, if you will, it's kind of like looking at the origins of the museum.
I like the contrast. I like the colors. I like the nice white circles with the bold colors,
Oh, yeah.
coming out. And just in case you don't know, Simpsonia is about, 30 miles here from Paducah?
Yeah, it's not far at all.
Yeah, so this is local
It's
talent.
a local talent.
And isn't it great?
Yes.
I just think it's wonderful. And what is the title of this one, Judy? I missed that.
The name of this one is Feathered Friends.
Feathered Friends. How appropriate.
Yes.
It is really, really neat.
And there's cattails also stitched in the background of each of these blocks.
I missed that.
And I always like it when you see cattails in the borrow pits by the road. And then when they burst out and there's all that fluff, and it's just the passing of the seasons. But cattails are so pretty.
Yeah. Well, I like this quilt. I could see this one hanging in my own den.
Uh-oh. I think we'll keep it.
I know, but it would be lovely.
Okay.
What a beautiful quilt, Judy. I think we'll take a break now and do a special forget-me-not about a dog named Bogie. And this one is very special, for it goes out to my husband Greg and our grandchildren. Take a listen.
In 1998, Bogie, a Brittany Spaniel, came to live with the Buffo family. We called him Bogie because we were par and he was +1. He loved pig ears, taking walks, and going for car rides. He was known as our gentle giant because of his nature and the fact that he weighed almost 50 pounds. He could snore with the best of humans and could sleep through anything. Water was a favorite of his, and he loved swimming. In his honor, we placed a cross under a willow tree in the backyard, one of his favorite napping places. Thank you, Bogie, for sharing your life with Novice, David, Alex, and Nick. We will truly miss you.
That was really a heartwarming story about Bogie. And as you know, the Forget-Me-Not is a part of our regular show. And we thank the Buffalo family so much for sharing that story with us. If you would like to have one of your pets honored, all you have to do is to get in touch with Darleen and me, and you can do that at Greg_Baur at Comcast.net, or give us a call at 443-8330, and we would love to feature your pet. Now, as we also, as you know, we make a contribution is made to a local animal organization, and the Buffos have done that to creatures great and small here in Paducah, and we thank them so much. So, well, let's get back to taking a look at our quilts. And Judy, what do we have now at this point?
We have a wonderful wall quilt, a pictorial wall quilt titled Corn Crib.
Oh, okay.
By the late Ada Belle Draymond. And, you know, we like pets, but you got to admit, pigs are a kick.
Yes, they
Pigs are a kick, and pigs always know where the food is, you know. So here we have a little pig inside noshing on a corn cob. And this one obviously is, you know, headed toward the buffet.
Yes.
So.
And that's a wonderful buffet with all that corn down there.
Yes. So, you know, it's really just two pigs, but it's a wonderful quilt, and there's a lot of depth to the quilt.
Yes.
And anytime you put an animal or a person in a scene, the whole scene comes alive.
Yes, it does.
It just adds a whole different dimension to the look of the picture. So it's just great fun.
And I know many of our viewers probably have seen corn cribs on the farm before. And if you haven't seen one, this is what it looks like.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I like the depth with the perception, you know, the tunnel effect that she has here.
Yeah, and you can see straight through the corn crib to the other side, to the sky.
Exactly.
And it's, you know, you got I guess these are, well, I guess wagons, and you've got farm implements. You got rakes and shovels and buckets and gears up here even.
I'm curious, the border across the top, Judy.
And that's like the tassels on the corn.
Oh, okay.
And there's little, now, you know, I bet money that those are a specific kind of moth, but they just look like little tiny butterflies or moths to me. And I do know that there's always certain insects that are attracted to certain, you know, agricultural plants, but I don't know what they are. You know, and I lived in Nebraska for a while and learned a little bit about tasseling and so forth.
Oh, detasseling, yes.
Oh, yes. It's a whole big industry out there.
Yes, it is, and it was a great moneymaker for kids growing up.
And they still do that. I mean, they haven't mechanized that yet that I know of. So, so here we have the pigs at the buffet. Corn crib.
And I'll bet lurking outside is somewhere there is a cat, because one of the big problems with corn cribs is rats.
Rats,
and
yes.
Cats are there to keep the rats away.
Vermin, yes, exactly. And cats will do that. That's what the barn cats are for.
Absolutely. Well, that's a beautiful quilt, Judy, and it really gives a nice a farm shot of it. So let's move on and see what else we have.
Okay.
We're continuing our tour this afternoon through the National Quilt Museum with Judy Schwender. And Judy, we've seen some beautiful quilts so far, but this looks like one of the most interesting ones that I've seen. Tell us about this one.
Oh, this is such a fun quilt. And you know, it's the 12 Days of Christmas by B.J. Elfgren. And because it's the 12 Days of Christmas, we tend to put it out during the holiday season. So it might not be up when you come in. You know, we have over 300 quilts, but we have space for about 56 wall and bed-size quilts here in the main gallery. So there's always a chance that whatever you fell in love with might not be here.
And there's always continual change, but they can see pictures of these other quilts if they are not up at your website, can't they?
Well, not actually on our website, but they're on the website of the Quilt Index. www.quiltindex.org. That's part of the Alliance for the American Quilt, and they have contributing partners such as the Daughters of the American Revolution, Rocky Mountain Quilt Museum, the Tennessee State Documentation Records, and just various different partners. And then you can go to our portion of that website and see all our quilts. The resolution is not really high. We have to protect the copyright of the quilts, but you can still see all these quilts. And this one is so fun because, and we were, you know, I don't remember all the verses.
You and I were trying to remember those as we were getting ready for this, and I couldn't remember them either.
I mean, we got 5 golden rings, that was no problem.
Yes.
But we have 7 swans a-swimming, and we think this is our 6 geese a-laying.
Yes.
Let's
5
see.
golden rings.
5 golden rings. And then there's 4 collie birds here. 3 French hens. Where's the French hens? I knew where these were. Over here. Here's the French hens.
There they are.
3 French hens. Oh boy, that was really on tune, wasn't it? The 2 turtle doves are right up here.
Nobody is grading us on that, Judy.
Oh, thank goodness. And the partridge in a pear tree.
Now, one of the things that strikes me about this is the unusual border on this one, Judy.
Oh, it's a wonderful quilt because not only does it have living things in it, but it has architecture. And it's all designed to, as if you're kind of inside of a building and maybe looking out through the porch or a portico out into the dell. And you have, you have columns and you have architectural railings and an archway. So, you know, it's a really great, it just draws you in. You're going into the scene.
Well, and it's just amazing the kind of detail, the thought of trying to lay this out and plan this out just blows my mind.
Oh, it's quite an endeavor. The artist, B.J. Elgren, she starts with a sketch that she blows up full size. And she uses that as what they call a cartoon.
Okay.
And then she starts doing her applique based on that cartoon and cutting out different fabrics for different figures.
Okay. And of course, since this is Christmas, we have Mary and the baby Jesus down here in the lower left corner. And this is one that truly is very Christmas oriented, and it's just a beautiful quilt.
And someday I'll learn all the verses. I won't say when, but I'll learn them.
Okay, then we won't have to worry too much about that then. Okay, well, I think it's time for us to take another short break, and we have for you a happy tale of a little terrier, mixed terrier from Project Hope named Jessie, who does need a home, and after you listen to the little story, I think you'll understand why he's such a special little dog. So, give a listen.
Hi, my name's Jessie, and I'm a 2-year-old male terrier mix. I don't remember much about my first 2 years. I guess I don't trust anyone, but I don't know why. Some good folks found me as a stray in West Paducah and took me to their home. They've been working with me for several weeks, but I'm still very shy and scared. I know I can be a good pet for some family, but I'll have to have time to trust them. I really want to love someone and have them care for me, and I'll give them back all of my love. I just want the chance to try. I know I can do it.
What a sweet story about Jessie, and we certainly hope Jessie gets a home. That's at Project Hope here in Metropolis. Well, let's continue with our happy trip down, seeing some beautiful quilts. Judy, I like this one about the fish. Tell me more.
Well, this is just a fabulous little quilt. Here again, it's a wall quilt. It's called Serenity 2, Life in My Pond, and it's by Donna Duchesne Garofalo. And one of the things, when I see this quilt, okay, I'm going to tell you a personal story. When I see this quilt, when my dad was an avid angler,
okay,
and he, you know, built his own rods and tied his own flies and did all this stuff. Well, the first day of fishing season, he got the whole family up at dark 30 and got us all, fed us, and we dragged us out before daylight and had us all sitting out there freezing to death by the, you know, by the streams, and then we could start fishing. And it's a wonder to me that he took us, because there's nothing, if you're a serious angler, you really don't want to be dragging along a 5-year-old girl and a 7 and a 9-year-old boy. You want to get up there and fish. So when I look at this, I think of my dad. You know, so it's just, here's your fish just poking its little head up through the water, and there's leaves coming down, and we've got the ripples around the fish. And there's a little tiny spider embroidered on, and there's a spider web quilted in, and then there's a dragonfly quilted in. Dragonflies or damselfly, either one, I suppose. And it's just, it makes me think of, you know, fishing is huge. And we're by the Ohio River and the lakes, so, you know,
we're in fishing country.
We are in fishing country, so.
My dad pulled me out on the river fishing when I was 3, so I can very much empathize with what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's just, I just think it was really big-hearted of him to take
absolutely
us grumpy kids out there on the first day of fishing season. But then every year he and his buddies took a big trip up into Canada, went on serious fishing.
Well, Judy, this is just wonderful information about the quilts based on animals. So this is definitely part 3 of Quilts for Animal Lovers. You can go to www.paducah2.org video clips/animals and see part 1 and part 2. Now, you're viewing part 3 now. And Judy, we certainly want people to come and visit the National Quilt Museum, which is located where?
215 Jefferson Street in Paducah, Kentucky.
Fantastic. And website?
www.quiltmuseum.org.
And telephone number?
270-442-8856.
Right. Well, in the remaining part of our show, we're going to have Judy take you on a quick tour through some visuals of some additional quilts. You've just got to come down and see them in person.
The Beatles Quilt is one of the crowning quilts of the collection. It's by two sisters, Pat Holly and Sue Nichols. And one of the wonderful things about the Beatles Quilt is no matter if you're an animal lover or not, you're going to love the quilt, because chances are you were singing these songs in your, to yourself in your head while you're driving the car, whatever. And there's animals throughout. There's Rocky Raccoon, who, of course, as we know, checked into his room only to find Gideon's Bible. There's a little monkey. There's piggies. There's the octopus's garden in the shade. All these applique details that depict different songs. And the two sisters do all their work. They share all the work, and it's done completely with a sewing machine. It's all machine applique, machine quilting, machine pieced. So there's a lot of work in here, and just fun detail. There's birdies. I'm trying to see up above. There's little butterflies. Of course, there's Norwegian wood, but that doesn't have an animal in it, which is okay. But over on the side, on the right side of the quilt, and you'll have to come to the museum to see this quilt, the sisters decided to use all different kinds of birds. So you have little birds and blue birds and yellow birds and pink and orange and yellow birds. So there's birds and just everything on this quilt. You could spend a lot of time looking at it, and we hope you come to the museum to take a peek at it. And if you hum to yourself and sing to yourself while you're looking at the quilt, we won't care. This other quilt is one of my favorites, and you know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but it's such a happy quilt. It's called Garden Party by Faye Anderson of Boulder, Colorado. It's a joyous looking quilt, and it has lions, and it has an alligator, and it has a sheep, and there's a little bit of animals on it, it seems like everywhere. And it's in happy bright blues and pinks and oranges and checkerboards. Just a wonderful quilt. And here again, you can see this down at the National Quilt Museum in downtown Paducah. So please do come down and visit us and look for this quilt. We have 3 quilts by Dawn Amos in the collection, and this one is her quilt titled The Beginnings. And we have an eagle perched on a broken limb, and this eagle looks just ready to take off. And if you've ever seen a gathering of eagles in trees, this one is just, it's ready to take off and dive into the water and pull up a fish. And of course, eagles have great meaning for Native Americans, and Dawn uses that imagery a lot in her quilts. So this is a dramatic wall quilt titled The Beginnings. We have a wonderful quilt that depicts a very, very, very faithful dog, and there's nothing like a faithful dog. This is called The Mat Makers. It's by Cassandra Williams of Grants Pass, Oregon, and it depicts Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea, or I know there's many ways to pronounce her name, and in the lower left of the quilt is the dog Seaman, who went with them for the entire journey. And you know, he just went with them and did his dog thing through the whole journey. And he just looks happy to be there, happy to be with, his human friends. We not only have this quilt, but in front of the museum outside, we have a statue grouping by George Lundeen, and it's of Lewis and Clark and a Native American youth and the dog Seaman. So if you want to bring your kids down and have their picture taken with Seaman, or your picture taken with Seaman, please do come in down to the museum at 215 Jefferson Street in Paducah, and it's right out front on our lawn. It's a wonderful statue.
I'll just repeat what Judy said. You have just got to come down to the
Yes.
National Quilt Museum here on Jefferson Street in Paducah, Kentucky, and see all these wonderful quilts that are at our quilt museum. I don't know how we can thank Judy Schwender enough. She has just done a wonderful job on all three parts of Quilts for Animal Lovers. Judy, we love you and we really appreciate what you've done for us.
And we also want to thank the folks at the Quilt Museum for allowing us to come in and taking care of this. And there's two other special people, Darlene, I think we want to
Greg.
special credit to today. Our director, Tammy Thompson.
Right.
And our videographer, Dan Shepard, for bringing all this equipment down here. If you've ever done anything with a TV show remotely, then you know what they have to do. And throughout all of the shows that we've done, Dan and Tammy have just done a wonderful job, and we just want to especially thank them today, too.
Don't they make us look good, Greg?
Somebody needs to, and they
yeah.
are able to do it. So, I guess in closing, Darlene.
I'm Darlene.
And I'm Greg, and we'd like to remind our viewers of what we say all the time. Give your pet a little extra love today
and every day.
See you next time.
The show is for Bogie. Bye.